the Spirit Sessions podcast. I'm your guide, Katie Silcox, bringing you your weekly self-love soundbite. Join us, where I'll help you find your true spiritual home, where every single aspect of you is holy ground, holy ground, holy ground, holy ground.
This is a Spirit Session podcast with Katie Silcox. Venga chicos, empezamos.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hi everyone, Katie here. This podcast is intended to inspire you, educate you, and most importantly, support you on your journey towards knowing who you really are, that inner self, that inner teacher. I am not a psychologist or a medical doctor and do not offer professional health or medical advice on this podcast. If you are suffering from any kind of psychological or medical issue, please do the right thing and seek help from your qualified health professional. Hello, everybody. Welcome. You know, I always say this every year. I'm the founder and lead teacher at the Shakti School, but I am also a user of the techniques and tools of the Shakti School because I really have needed them in my life and still need them every single day. And so if you're new to us, we are the world's most beloved feminine form Ayurveda school. I can say that with full confidence. We are a women-centered Ayurveda school, and what makes us so different and unique is exactly what you are going to be experiencing here today. And why we're doing this is that we have a program that starts in January, but we realized it's almost impossible for people to really understand what feminine form Ayurveda means without experiencing it in their body. Feminine form Ayurveda is nervous system informed Ayurveda. It's embodied Ayurveda. It is the study of you. It is learning your operating system, your user manual. And the only one that can read that manual is you. And so we love to give you tips, tools, tricks. In fact, my staff has compiled a beautiful 14-day Vata chill out reset plan for you. And it's really great. And so we love giving you guys all the Ayurveda stuff, right? But some of you are in Ayurveda school right now, and some of you have studied Ayurveda your whole life, and some of you are new to it and kind of like intrigued. And one of the things about Ayurveda that's challenging is that it can get overwhelming. Am I right? And you're like, what am I, right? What am I supposed to do? I just want someone to tell me what to do to feel better. And what I have found over my 20 plus years of practicing and studying these things is that you already know what you need. And not that we can't have great guides and teachers and mentors and books, but the true heart knows already exactly what you need. Well, why aren't we hearing that voice? And if you're like, I know what I need to do, but I do this other thing. Well, I want to welcome you to being a human. In fact, Ayurveda, that some say started some 5,000 years ago, right? I think it started the first time someone made a remedy, right, for someone else. Ayurveda from 5,000 years ago wrote about the same conundrum that you find yourself in now. The ancient teachings say, sometimes I know what I should do and I do not do it. And sometimes I know what I should do and I do not do it. And I know what I shouldn't do and I do it. Raise your hand if you ever know what you shouldn't do, but you do it. My hand's raised. I live in the middle of the most beautiful Virginia wine country. And I'm not a big drinker, but sometimes it's just like, you gotta do a little day drinking. You know what I mean? You gotta have a couple glasses of wine on a Saturday. And Ayurveda is like, oh, that might not be great, especially in the middle of the summer and if you're a fire type, right? But sometimes we have to do that. And why we're okay with that at the Shakti school is that while we don't want you to make big mistakes that take your life off track, those little imbalances that we inject into our lives make our nervous system and our immune system more resilient. In other words, we don't want to be a boy in a bubble. In fact, the ancient Ayurveda teachings warn us not to do that. And the nervous system is the exact same way. You are not here on the planet to always feel calm. Raise your hand if that made your shoulders relax a little bit. Mine did. Do you know how nerve-wracking it is to speak in front of hundreds of people on Zoom every day? I'm not supposed to feel super chill about it all the time, right? I do feel pretty chill about it over time because I've done it so many times, but there are many things that scare me in this life. Guess what else? Your nervous system is not always meant to feel not upset, right? Peaceful. Our human nervous system is meant to feel everything. In fact, the ancient teachings of Tantra, which we also specialize in at the Shakti school, say enlightenment itself is not reaching a destination of no pain or perfect bliss. In fact, one of my favorite definitions of enlightenment is to be able to receive more and more intense waves of energy, to be able to hold more and more intense waves of energy. Now, if there's ever anything that so eloquently describes what happens in our bodies and in our nervous systems when we have an experience, it's that. Waves of energy. What often happens is that those pure waves of energy, and you can think of it as your feelings, right? Your emotions, your body response. What happens is that we start to feel those waves of energy. Like, let's say you don't like the feeling of fear. You begin to feel a little bit of that wave of energy of fear. And what do? We go, no, 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 no. And we constrict. We lock it down, right? And this is going to be a game changer for some of you, and it was for me a few years ago. Anxiety and fear are not the same thing. Anxiety can be defined as the fear of fear. Anxiety is actually the way that we all are avoiding feeling fear. And the ancient teachings even go on to say that when you fully feel anything to its fullness, you reach its essence. And the essence of fear is courage. And the essence of anger is clear-seeing insight. And the essence of sadness is compassion for everyone and everything. And so when we talk about the nervous system today, I want you kind of breaking out of this idea, in my opinion, this false idea that we're meant to feel perfectly at peace and in calm all the time. That is what my teacher calls an unreasonable expectation. And as my mama would say, that's not how God made you, right? The divine made us capable of feeling lots of different things. And so here today, we're going to talk about regulating the nervous system. And this is kind of a phrase that's now a buzzword, which means being able not to make ourselves feel calm, although trust me, I want to feel calm and good as much as, possible in this life, but really about giving our nervous system the information that it needs about reality in this moment now, so that it can make a decision about what it needs to prepare for or not prepare for, respond to or not respond to, react to or not react to. But what typically happens all the time in all of us? Something happens in the outside world. You get an email, your doorbell rings, you get a letter in the mail, right? And instead of responding in a present moment awareness way, we respond to whatever it is that's going on in our lives based on what? Our past conditioning. I call it what had happened was. What happened in the past that didn't get fully digested by your nervous system and your physiology, what happens? It gets stored. Your system, we could call it, says, okay, right now she can't feel this in its fullness. She can't digest this in its fullness. We're just going to put it down here. We're going to put it down there. And all of you have a place typically in your system, in your body, where you tend to store things. And Ayurveda says that is what weakens our organ systems. And it's those nerve impulses that innervate all of our organ systems, our hormones, our circulatory system, that give that information to our system if things are safe or unsafe. And so you have all of this past mental conditioning, emotional experience, and nervous system patterns of reactivity stored in our body. And Mama Nature's not a fool. Well, why would she do this? You might ask. Why is this our nature to store things? Well, think about long, long ago when we were, a little bit more animal-like. You can even think of our chimp ancestors. Those beings might have eaten a poisonous fruit on a tree. And then they need to remember, oh, don't eat that type of fruit because remember when it killed off, your cousin over here? Don't eat that, right? And so our system is really good at remembering things, especially if they're bad. It's like, I don't even remember all the good stuff that happened, at that event. I just remember that one comment that what made, right? I know this. I've written 2 books, right? It's like 500 positive reviews, but it's the one bad one that you remember, That's Mama Nature at work. Mother Nature always wants to keep you alive. That's her main goal. So, in a way, we want to work with Mother Nature and say, thank you so much for this amazing nervous system that kind of remembers things that I need to be aware of. But we're also learning to evolve other parts of our consciousness and our brain that are not just our primitive animal first chakra system of survival, fight, flight, and run away. And sometimes we include fawn, right? We want to move our perception to be able to include every aspect of our dimensionality within our nervous system. And so to do that, we've got to be present to what's happening now inside of us. And sometimes that can be really hard, right? A lot of times that can be hard to actually just sit with your own body and your own emotional experience and your own thoughts and your own sensations and your own energy. That's the definition of what it means to be a yogini. She who can be with whatever she is right now. The good, the bad, the ugly, the parts of you like, the parts of you that you really don't. And so I'm going to share with you guys some methods that really are wonderful for regulating and usually down-regulating the nervous system. In addition to that, what's super important and what I think gets less press in the social media world around the nervous system is that the nervous system really needs nourishment. You can do all the great tactics and really miss the bigger picture of what the nervous system requires for health. So right now we're in, I think I read yesterday that today is the coldest day, this day of November, I'm in Virginia, in like 32 years, right? And the wind's blowing. And many of you find yourselves in cool or cold environment right now, right? We're in the fall for many of you. The fall in Ayurvedic medicine is known as the season where Vata increases. And if you're new to Ayurveda, you may be like, what's that? And Vata is just that. It's what's happening during the fall. The leaves get dry and crunchy. They lose their youthful green. right? They become orange and yellow and they fall and they dry out. The wind blows and it makes everything dry and cold. The sun is less high in the sky, and therefore our metabolic power, our ability to digest goes down, our fire goes down, and that cold, rough, dry experience and that lack of sunlight throughout the day makes everything feel a little bit more crystalline. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Like Halloween energy. Like you look outside and you're like, I feel like I could almost see a ghost, right? Or maybe you have. Or you're also really like, oh, I feel like I can talk to God better, right? Because the teachings say right now, if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, right now we are opening the doorway. The door's open, we've walked through, and it's going to open more. We're opening the doorway to the time of the year when the veils between the worlds are thin. Yeah. I'm going to share this. Some of you already know about a month and a half ago, my whole house burned and I lost everything I own. So this is a new top. It was really horrible. And if you've had a fire in your home, you know about this as well. There's a black ash that you cannot believe how that black ash finds itself into every nook and cranny. And there's this quality, even though gracias a Dios, my dog saved my life. If you want to hear the whole story, I tell it on the podcast, but there's a feeling tone after you've gone through a great loss. And I know every woman in this room knows what I'm talking about. Every woman here has gone through the death of someone she loved, the loss of a job, a terrible breakup, the loss of an animal, right? A disease, diagnosis. Just, I know you guys have gone through that because you're human. And on the other side of that destruction and that death, there's this sense that the veils between the world is thin. It's almost like you can taste what really matters. And it's not the sofa that you just bought that got burned up. It's not the clothing that was in your closet or the new shoes that you got the day before the fire, right? It's the preciousness of the people and animals and relationships that will make you feel seen and connected and loved. And I bring it up because it's now a part of me to tell you about Vata and the nervous system. We think of this as this big problem, right? Everything's drying out. We don't like that, ladies, do we? We don't like when we get dry. We want to be juicy. Hashtag perimenopause. But there is a reason that things dry. We can go right to the basics of Ayurvedic medicine. When you eat an apple, your colon has got to dry that thing out. To do what? Eliminate what wasn't needed. So right now, you find yourself, I find myself in this portal where everything in your consciousness, everything in your mind and heart, everything in your relationships in your life that's not needed can dry up and go away. And that is a check, check, check. Good thing. There's so much more I want to share with you about this. Some of you know I can talk for hours about the poetry and philosophy and the spirituality of Ayurveda. But what we want to do as good stewards of our nervous system is to understand the one thing I didn't tell you about Vata. And that is Vata, when there's too much cold energy, when there's too much death and destruction and grief and loss, your heart gets emptied out so much that it can feel like an open wound, like an empty room, like a spacious realm that needs to be filled. Because guess what? You can't stay in death and destruction. That's not what Mother Nature does either. It's not perpetual winter. The heart longs to be full. And so, too much air and too much space and too much death and grief and loss isn't good for us. It's like the bears, just right. We need the just right amount. And there's a whole philosophical discussion we could have around like, my soul is giving me too much, right? No, no, no. Your soul knows how much you can handle. But we want to support this vata reduction because the energy that vata brings is the emotion of fear and anxiety in the nervous system. Sure, none of you have any of that, right? But in case you do, we're going to talk today about how to reduce vata during the season where it goes out the roof. And we are also going to do a couple practices that will help you feel it in your body right now. Remember, what we're not trying to do is make everything bonbons and rainbows and feel good all the time. What we're giving our nervous system a chance to do is to land the plane in the present moment. And when we do that, our nervous system is incredible. It can pick up on the signaling all around us and inside of us, and it can begin to offer up the correct response to what's actually occurring. So, what do we do in the fall? For most of us, in fact, pretty much everyone, we want to do the opposite of what vata is. And so, since vata is fast, it's mobile, it's rough, it's irregular, it's erratic, it's bringing in a little bit more dry energy and cold energy, all of our remedies need to be the opposite. So, what is that? It's the opposite of rough is smooth. So, what, even what you listen to, put on some smooth jams, put on some smooth jazz, put on your smoothest playlist. We want the opposite of cold, which is warm. So that might be now you're doing that warming yoga class. Now you're going to the sauna. Now you're putting warm things, near you. You're dressing a little more warm. We're also going to be the opposite of quick, which is slowing things down. And this is related to the nervous system as well. And it's unfortunate that in our culture, it's often during Thanksgiving to Christmas when vata is the peak that we start to have the most to do, right? And so this 14-day vata chill out reset is going to really help prepare you to move through the holiday season with a little bit more grace and with a little bit more ease and a little bit more juiciness inside your system. We also want the opposite of vata, which is it's mobile, it's light, right? Like the veils between the worlds are thin, very light. So the remedy needs to be heavy, slow, grounding, regular routine. Raise your hand if you hate regular routine. Well, this is the season where it's actually really good for you. Waking up at the same time, having a spiritual practice in the morning or at night, cooking food for yourself this is the season. If you've been feeling drawn to your kitchen, is because this is the most important season for cooking for yourself and your people. And I am telling you, I am not a natural foodie girl. Like my dream is to have a personal chef that makes me food, right? But I cook for myself pretty much every single day. And if I can do it, you can do it because I'm busy. Get an Instapot if you don't have one. You can throw in some rice, you throw in some mung, you throw in some veggies, you throw in some ghee, you throw in some spices, any spices you like. You throw in some water and you push click, and you've got a hot meal that has everything you need for the whole day. And you can do this with meat, you can do it with veggies. You want to make sure in vata season for everybody that you have things that are well spiced. Soups, stews, obviously are going to be like a big deal during the fall. It's also what nature is naturally producing for you where you are. And so those root vegetables, the squashes, the pumpkin, right? Like go to your farmer's market, see what's seasonal. And I'll be honest, it's not a lot, right? This is a time where we actually need more of those root vegetables and starchy things and higher fat stuff, right? I know some of you are vegan or vegetarian. That's totally fine. You still need to find those good healthy fats and those good proteins in vegetables. So everything needs to be warm and wet that you put in your body. That means less. I know I love them too, but less smoothies, less raw foods, unless ding 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 ding. See how great we work with you at Shakti School. Unless you make a hot smoothie with your root vegetables. So one of the best things you can do, and we're going to give you a ton of these recipes. Don't worry, you don't have to worry about any of this. It's all in there. You can put some pumpkin, some cooked sweet potato, a couple of dates, and some super hot almond milk or cow's milk in a blender with spices. And you can make the most delicious, warm, hot root vegetable smoothie. Some of you might want to throw some protein powder in there, right? So we can work with what we like, but we have to work for the nervous system with reducing vata. Raw foods increase vata. Wah, wah. Cold things increase vata. Wah, wah. Dry things increase vata. What are dry things? I'm going to bust myself right now. I love a protein bar. I'm not going to lie. I keep a couple in my car. It's good in an emergency. But if you're having a protein bar, which I do not, every single day in the middle of fall and winter, dry, 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 right? Raise your hand if you like the chips and the crackers and the popcorn. I know, me too. And guess what? Your nervous system loves that too. There's a reason we like the crunch. You need crunch. Sprinkle some seeds on your hot pot meals. This is a theory, by the way, because some of you like to geek out like me. Our bodies like that crunching sound because our ancestors would be like eating things in the wild and would crunch in on like a bone, right? They would crunch in on the vegetables. It's like a harkening back to feeling that crunch in your mouth, like, yeah, we're eating. You need it. And so, a great replacement for that is just sprinkle a little crunchy on top so it can kind of give you that feeling. So, warm, wet, regular routine, cooking foods that are warm, wet, heavy, and grounding. And it's already what you already crave and know if you're in a little bit of balance. If you're way off balance, you're going to crave things that are way off balance. That's just kind of the way that it goes. It's also the time of year, if you've never done this or if you've done this a lot, but you've fallen off the wagon, this is the time of year for our nervous system to have hot oils. My partner was making fun of me in a loving way the other day, and he was like, whatever the problem in your life, like, I feel like you just rub hot oil on it. It's like taxes, hot oil, right? Just get out the hot oil. Fight with your boyfriend, hot oil. Just get out the hot oil. He's like, you can't rub hot oil on everything, Katie. And that's very true. But you can rub hot oil on yourself, and it makes everything better. So in Ayurveda, this practice, if it's new to you, is called Abhyanga, and Abhyanga is done with an oil, and the oil is called Sneha. And Sneha means love. It also means oil. So that's kind of beautiful, right? In this season, if you're new to this, any oil is better than no oil. But be aware, coconut oil is the one I would avoid because it is very, very cooling, and so therefore very good for summer. Any other oil, I'm fine with. Classically, the most warm oil is sesame oil. And sesame oil is very heavy and very grounding. So if you like that, and I'm going to give you guys some great products that I use. And so I don't like make my own oils, but we will let you know who does. And they're very wonderful because they're not only oil, they're also infused in Ayurveda with lots and lots and lots of really grounding herbs. So herbs are like that plant ally that just helps everything settle. And in Ayurveda, when you rub oil on your body, and you can kind of go long on the long parts and round on the joints, In other words, just do what feels right. Do what feels good. When you put oil on your body and you let it rest for a minimum of 15 to 20 minutes, that gives the medicinal quality of both the lipid in the oil as well as the herbal ally. If you are using an herbal medicated oil, it gives it time to penetrate all the way through what Ayurveda calls the seven dhatu layers, the tissues. And the nerves are a deep tissue in your body, as well as the bone. And you may be thinking, oiling my bones? Yes. Why? Where does vata, where does air and coolness tend to accumulate in our bodies? Well, you're going to have to join level 1 to find out. Just kidding. I'm going to tell you now. But you're going to have to join level 1 if you're new because it goes so much deeper. Vata accumulates in your colon. And when vata accumulates in your colon, you get constipated. So if any of you out there are suffering with constipation, Ayurveda would say, are you eating warm and wet? Are you eating unctuous, oily things? And by oily, I don't mean, French fries. I mean, a little olive oil on your food, a little ghee, a little avocado, that kind of thing. So your colon gets dry. What else gets dry? Your mucous membranes. So you get dry eyes, dry nose, dry ears, dry lady parts. I'm sure none of you have that issue, but if you do, vata is not your friend right now. And so it starts with what we eat. Where else does it accumulate? It accumulates in our nerves. And when the nerves, you have something called your myelin sheath that wraps your nerves. You can do all the nervous system somatic practices online in the world. And if your myelin sheath is dry and inflamed, then it will be challenging. That myelin sheath needs nutrition. What helps it? Oils, ghee, fish oil, avocado, nuts. Any of the healthy oils and fats is fine. So very, very important. Where else does it accumulate? Your bones. In Ayurveda, we would call osteoporosis, which is a big thing for many women, especially as they age, the vata in the bones. And so your bones are not hard, they're actually quite pliable. Your bones have something in the middle of them called your bone marrow. The bone marrow, when we're young, from age 0 to 7, is bright red. And then it changes color as we age. But bone marrow is where our healing happens in Ayurvedic medicine, your bone marrow. So we want to keep the bones happy. And when we don't have all the nutrition that we need, the bones are sometimes the first thing to leach minerals to keep us alive. So remineralizing your system is very helpful. Having a mineral drink, you can buy trace minerals, but fruits and vegetables, all these foods have lots of minerals, high mineral content. Our produce now does not have the same amount of minerals that your grandmother and grandfathers did, by the way. One orange has 30 times less vitamins and minerals as my grandmother's orange. So we have to supplement. And so a mineral supplement and these teas and herbs are really going to help with that. Okay. There's so much more to say about nutrition. We have a whole month in level 1 where we go deep into nutrition, but I will give you guys in this 14-day reset, you're going to get lots of good ideas to get you going for fall. In fact, as much as you want, it's in there. I mean, you really have a lot in this packet. So I want to talk also about routine. So giving your nervous system a regular routine is one of the best things that you can do. And I realize that's hard during the holidays, but one of the most important routines that you can add into your day is some type of grounding, centering. You could call it your meditation time, your spiritual practice. That really can set the tone in your nervous system for the whole day. If you can even do 5 minutes, in the morning and, 5 minutes in the sunset or in the evening, that's going to be really, really powerful. So I want to pivot just a little bit, knowing that you guys are going to get this 14-day Vata chill out guide that my staff has made that's so wonderful. I want to transition so that we make sure that we have time to actually stop talking so much and you guys listening and kind of processing with that part and give you an actual experience if that feels good to you all. And so, what I want to guide you through is what I call like the basics of what we do at Shakti School. In almost every single class, at least with me, that we have, we start with what I call getting grounded in the nervous system. Getting grounded is not just about feeling your legs or going into the earth, which some of you I'm sure have practiced that, and that can be very helpful. But in this system, getting grounded, okay, so let me say it like this. We're learning how to be present in our bodies, in the fullness of our bodies. If today you're like, I don't want to do that, my body does not feel like a home base for me. There's sometimes a lot of feelings that we're running away from that can feel like too much. And if that's any of you all, I want you to know you're my sister. I get you. There have been years of my life where I'm like, dude, I can't go into that part of my body at all, you know? And remember, it's because we store things in our body. But for most of you today, you're probably like, yeah, things kind of feel weird, but I'm willing to do it. And I think it's manageable. If it doesn't feel manageable, we never want to force ourselves to go places that feel too much, too soon, too scary, too fast. And what that means is, guess what? You're a human being. And when we have really difficult experiences that now our culture is labeling as traumatic, we wire those often in relationship and we have to unwire in relationship. So, just as kind of a public service announcement, don't ever force yourself and get support. And I don't just mean this like, oh, just go get support, but like really take that seriously, get some support around it. If you're one of those people who are like, I don't really want to go in my body today, that's totally fine. What you can do is go behind your body. So, behind our body, the back of our head, our shoulder blades, our lower back, our buttocks, the backs of our legs, and down into our feet, and even our arms and hands, typically for most people, most of the time feel super neutral. We don't tend to store a lot of our deeply painful stuff in our hands. We're never like, oh my God, my hand. It's more like, oh, my heart, right? Oh, my belly. Oh, my throat's tight. But we have these neutral places in the back body, and typically in the legs and the arms and the hands that just feel neutral. So I would say if there's anybody out there that's like, I don't want to go through the middle of my body, it's too much, just know you're totally normal. There's nothing wrong with you. You just might need to do it slow or to get some support around it, or just go to the back of your body and see how that feels. So the nervous system can better regulate, and it's typically quite calming and grounding when it knows where it is. We call this proprioception. The nervous system can also typically figure out what it needs to do. It's brilliant when it can experience the inside of you too. And that's called interoception. So the ability to feel inside, interoception, the ability to sense the world outside of us in the present moment and our kind of boundaries and our distances from things, that's called proprioception. Both of those things are about geolocation. They're about where am I? Now, this might blow your mind a little bit. And the ancient yogis called this out way before all of the smart people today. When you are thinking about the past or a future scenario, real or unreal, imagined or not, you are not here. Your nervous system doesn't know where you are. Raise your hand if your mind just got blown. And then you're like, why am I so anxious? Why am I so anxious? Well, you've been somewhere gone into a trance. That's what thinking is. Thinking is a trance. It's the past or the future. It's not here. And we don't want to hate on our thinking self. We don't want to call our mind a bad monkey, even though it's a pretty wily monkey. Just know that one thing could change your whole life. When we are thinking, we are leaving our body. When we're thinking, we're leaving. And I was rewarded as a young girl for being smart. I was rewarded for my intellect. Then you went to school and you got an A on your test or a B, and our society rewarded us. And then we're all now on the internet, which is just the mental body. It's just thinking, 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 thinking. And so the nervous system doesn't really know where she is. So getting grounded is bringing your attention, your focus, therefore your awareness, your soul back in to the body as the nexus point, as the location. The soul needs to feel at home in the body. When that soul is in the body, and that's one way of saying it, that's more shamanic, or when our consciousness is in our body, the nervous system now can do that proprioception, interoception in a way that gives the nervous system signaling that tells it what's real. So look around, guys. Take a moment. What's actually real? Look at your room. Just look around at the walls, the colors, the textures. Notice if your eyes want to move really quick. That's okay. It's just a sign that you're a little bit more upregulated, or if they want to move slow. Notice if you want to rush to the next object. And without forcing anything, just encouraging your whole system to just take it all in. Notice what colors you like and your eyes are attracted to. What things in the room you don't like and want to avoid, and that's fine. You don't have to force anything. And then let your gaze come back to the screen. And if it feels all right, I'd like to invite you to just let your eyes gently close. If that feels too much, you can keep them slightly open. And getting grounded means arriving in and down your body, all the way connected to the biomagnetic field that is the gravitational pull of Earth. It's the energy that all of us are held in. And it's also allowing all that goodness of that earth energy to come back up into you. And it's like plugging into a light socket. You're all the way down, and then that good grounding earth energy is all the way up you. And you're held and kind of nested in the correct energy. And the way we can do that today is to just imagine above your head like a waterfall. It can be a waterfall of water, it can be a waterfall of honey, it can be liquid light, it can be anything you want, any texture, any color, any substance. Just imagine above your head, it starts to make its way down into the top of your head. And remember, you can always just do your back body if you don't want to go through the middle. Let it come down and let that water, that light, start to move into your face, your eyes, your brain. Down into your throat. And as you travel, you're going to find feelings that feel good and not so good, tight or open, numb or available, alive or not so much. Let it come down into your shoulders and your collarbones. Let it come all the way into your chest and fill up your sternum and your rib cage, your heart, shoulder blades, down into your solar plexus and your mid back, all the way down into your pelvis, all the way down through your pelvis to your sits bones, your coccyx, the bottom of the reproductive organs, down through your legs, and take your time. Just let it drop through the legs all the way down until eventually you feel the soles of your feet. And if they're on the ground, you can kind of sense it a little more, but nonetheless, there's this quality at the bottom of our feet. The more we pay attention to it, you can kind of start to feel a little tingling. And now, from the base of your legs, the base of your pelvis, the base of your body, let the inhale just open you downward. That might seem a little counterintuitive, but try it out. Let your inhale open you down into the ground. You can even imagine traveling into the earth itself. And as you exhale, it's like you're sucking up that through a straw. It's going to come up through your legs and fill up your whole body. And we're going to do that 8 times. And so that inhale, open your attention in your body and down into the ground. And as you exhale, let all that good earth energy come up into you, rejuvenating you, revitalizing the nerves, coating the myelin sheath of the nerves. And we're going to do that 6 more times on your own. If you get lost, just come right back to that inhale. Really staying tuned to your feet, your legs, your pelvis, giving your nervous system all that information about your lower body and the earth, the ground beneath you. We're not imagining anything, we're becoming more aware and we're present of what's actually here. Moving from thought to feeling reality directly. Allow the inhale to open you, but also the inhale is where we can let go. We can soften. We can open. We can release. On the exhale, you'll feel your navel draws back in, your pelvic floor lifts slightly, and there's this quality of the exhale drawing energy back in. As we inhale, you can feel the natural way that the diaphragm opens, the lungs open, the pelvic floor when you inhale opens. The ribs, the lungs, they open. And then as you breathe out, they contract. Good. Take 2 more of these big, full, rejuvenating breaths. Excellent. Very good. You can kind of feel the whole room getting a little bit more connected and grounded, and then slowly let your eyes open. And now, what I want you to do is we're going to do that orientation again. I want you to look around the room now and notice if it feels any different after just 10 or so breaths. I know I can share that I can feel my belly now. It's almost like I took an elevator down my body and I'm a little more here. 10 breaths. That's all we did. We oriented, we did the breath in a very specific way that, especially for you who are not, new to this, it's a different way of practicing. isn't it? To inhale in and down. What? And exhale, we draw it in for us. That's feminine form. That's feminine form. Think of this nervous system reset grounding breath as a jellyfish. Some of you are ocean people. You've seen jellyfish. Do not go watch a YouTube of a jellyfish. When the jellyfish breathes in, the opening happens, right? And the jellyfish's body goes like that. And then the current comes in, whoosh, it rushes back in, and the jellyfish can go quick, right? Because all that energy's come right back in. That's what's happening in our energy body. You have a physical body, you have a mental body, and you have an energy body, and you have lots of other bodies, but that you will have to come to level 1 to learn more about. But we are using and experiencing the energy coming back into the physical body when we relax the mental body. The mental body, what does the mental body do to our energy? Up and out. It's that simple. When we're thinking, we're up and out. It's humbling, isn't it? How much of our life are we up and out? Our flagship program is our level 1 program. Mid-January, we began for a whole year together in these practices. And we made it that long of a year-long program because we go super deep into the basics of Ayurvedic theory, Ayurvedic mind-body type, Ayurvedic nutrition, energy work. We go into feminine form things that help us regulate our nervous system, such as the stuff we did today with me, as well as lots of stuff on fertility, postnatal, prenatal stuff. It's just too much to even begin to describe, but we want you to learn all about it. So we have this beautiful website. We have our syllabus on there. So if you're like, I want to know what we're going to be studying, we have all of that written up for you as a syllabus. We also have amazing coaches that you can have a 30-minute call with. So if you want to talk to a real person who has done the school and done the 2 years, I really think of these coaches as like extensions of my own heart. They are not only amazing Ayurveda students, but they're also like really great people. And, we meet monthly to meditate together. They're definitely a big part of our community at the Shakti School. So you can talk to them if you want to speak about Ayurveda school with a real live person. Some of you are like, where can I sign up right now? And you are my kind of lady. That is how I roll. If I want to do something, click, 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 because I know the way this works, right? If I start doubting and I let myself get into that, I will go against the voice of my heart and think of all the reasons why I can't do it. And let me tell you, the number one question we get on our coaching calls, how can I do this with my busy life? Am I going to have time? And the answer is absolutely. Nobody who comes to Shakti school is like, you know what? I'm floating on a sea all the time. I'm living on just an island of no distractions. Everybody's just like you. And what will happen and what does happen is that the more you learn these energy practices and the more you learn about all this self-care and nourishment, you have better energy. You have more time because you are able to actually show up in a completely different way. January, it's going down. Secret Lady Life School is happening. Sign up now if your heart is like, I want to actually learn how to love myself and heal myself in 2026. Our 2026 motto, by the way, is lover, love thyself. Healer, heal thyself. If you feel like you need love and healing, that's our theme in 2026. And I really hope I get to meet all of you in January in the Zoom room. Thank you guys. A big special thanks to Kevin Carlisle of Goodbye Gemini, who wrote this beautiful podcast music, and to DJ Juan Pablo Jimenez in southern Spain for mixing it and making it magic.